All right, well, we are back, and for this particular video, we are going to be going over both the master skills and also the tricks and the traps of this particular task type. That's because there really aren't a lot of tricks or traps with this one. It's pretty straightforward. It's not one of the question types where they're trying to, make sure you're paying attention or trying to make sure you're following directions correctly. This one, it's really all about the master skills. So just briefly, let's go back to the tricks and traps page. Now, as I said here, the tricks and the traps, first of all, there aren't a lot of them, and really they're not designed to actually trick you. Or the only things are that sometimes you might get a sentence which doesn't have a pronoun or a time expression. Well, that can be a trap. So first of all, the tricks. Sentences with pronouns which do not refer to anything. And that actually goes to one of our master skills. So it's not completely a real trick. That's actually a very common thing. So if the sentence contains a pronoun which is not referring to anything in the same sentence, then it's almost definitely referring to something in the sentence before it. Sentences which contain information which was not clear. So in other words, it was not previously introduced. So if the sentence does not fit by itself and it's talking about some sort of topic, but you don't necessarily understand it if you just read that sentence by itself, then it's not introducing the topic. It would have to be probably an example of that topic. So you have to actually scan through the reading passage to try to find that same topic. And then the sentence, which is extra, will probably go after that. The only thing as far as traps are sentences which do not contain any pronoun or time expression, because these are the two easiest ways to find where the extra sentence fits, and of course, overthinking it. So let's go to the master skills. First of all, if the extra sentence starts with a pronoun, as I mentioned before, it will almost always be referring to a sentence before it. So you remember from the examples in the previous video that one of the boxes where you could put the extra sentence was actually at the very beginning of the small reading passage. So if the extra sentence starts with a pronoun, it will definitely not go in that first place. It will always have to be after another sentence. Using time expressions to determine the sequence of events. Okay, so that's really not necessarily a master skill. That's actually just a skill that you need to have for this, but it can be used as a master skill. Because if you have time expressions like after, before, while, something like that, if it says that some action happened after something, well, then you can assume that that sentence is going to literally go after that topic or that action was mentioned before. And the same thing with before. Before he did this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now it's possible that they're not going to follow exactly that. If it says before, it doesn't always mean that the extra sentence is going to go before that topic. But it is one easy way of trying to determine where the sentence can go. So time expressions and pronouns, those are the big ones. If the sentence refers to someone by their last name only, then scan the sentences to find if that person's full name is used. Because in just about any writing passage, whenever we talk about a person, the first time that person is mentioned, we use both the first and the last name, and then afterwards, we only refer to the person by the last name. So if you do have a sentence, which is the extra sentence, and it only contains the person's last name, and when you scan through the reading passage, you find the person's full name, then the extra sentence has to go after that. It might not be directly after that, but it has to go somewhere after that. So if the sentence contains some sort of a detail or some topic and you're not using pronouns or time expressions, then just ask yourself, does this sentence introduce the topic? And usually if it's introducing the topic, it will be rather clear. Or does it possibly provide an example of the topic? Now, you won't necessarily know that for sure until you scan through the reading passage to find another part where that topic is mentioned. Then it will become clear if the extra sentence is providing an example of the topic that they're talking about or just giving more information about it. If that's the case, then the extra sentence will almost always go after. If you do not have the answer after 2 minutes working on this task, simply pick one. Pick whichever you think is the best one, and move on, because really you don't want to spend more than this. Now, this is one of the tasks which will probably require more than the 1 minute mark that I use for a lot of the question types. But if you spend more than 2 minutes on this and you still don't know, just pick whichever one you think is the best possible answer and move on. Also, this task will usually be one of the last tasks for each reading passage, but if you're on the first reading passage, you still have a lot more questions to go through. So just pick it, make a note of it, and come back to it later if you have time. But really, all you have to do is follow the strategy like we described in the last video. Keep these different things about the possible tricks or traps and the different master skills that we talked about here. And then, just relax. You got this. You can do it. I know you can.